right back to James, Gospel of James. This time we're in chapter 4. Sure that I'll get back into a preaching mode, but I'm still not in it. And update, ever since you prayed for me, there's been no purification, so stop praying. No work at all, just sitting around, so better quit. I gotta get there. Okay, so I'll just read it. I think what I'll do is just read chapter 4. Maybe we'll read chapter 5 also. We'll read chapter 4 for sure. Plenty of things I can say, but I'd rather just wait for the community to speak, and then maybe I'll speak at the end. That's how we'll do it. And but hey, soak this section up slowly, every line. It's actually surprisingly really good. And this and the next one, I think, it describes very well everything wrong in our country right now. It's interesting. It's really powerful, very powerful. Probably page 545 if you have the same. Oh, you don't. Okay.
No.
It's really worth contemplating this section. I found it very powerful. Where do wars and fights come from among you? Do they not come from your desires for pleasure that war in your members? You lust and do not have. You murder and covet and cannot obtain. You fight and war. Yet you do not have because you do not ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask amiss, that you may spend it on your pleasures. Adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever therefore wants to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. Or do you think that the scripture says in vain, the Spirit who dwells in us yearns jealously? But he gives more grace. Therefore he says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Therefore submit to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Lament and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. Do not speak evil of one another, brethren. He who speaks evil of a brother and judges his brother speaks evil of the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a doer of the law, but a judge. There is one lawgiver who is able to save and destroy. Who are you to judge another? Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to such and such a city, spend a year there, buy and sell, and make a profit. Whereas you do not know what will happen tomorrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away. Instead, one ought to say, if the Lord wills, we shall live and do this or that. But now you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. Therefore, to him who knows to do good and does not do it, to him it is sin. We'll stop there for now. Maybe we'll read more, but I think we'll stop here. Okay, maybe I'll say a couple things, but I either can't or won't preach, so that's not going to happen. But I don't know if anyone else, it seemed as I looked around the room that a lot of people were hit tonight, and a lot of power. And if I didn't already love James, boy do I love James now, because that's a lot of power, man. My heavens. Really deep power coming off this guy. For the newer people, this is, I was taught the New Testament was changed and you couldn't trust it. I was taught it was changed so much that it was unreliable. And when I read passages like I'm going to read now, that's when I knew for sure that was true. Lament and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. I would read a passage like that and say, yes, it has been changed. To control you and keep you down. So funny. I'm working with a friend. I can't say from where in case you ever meet this person, because they might come around, but right now out of state. And she's been on a spiritual path for a really long time, but she's been reading the kind of literature that would have said that needed to be changed. That would have said, why would they want to keep you down like that and hurt you? And so this is a pretty good friend of mine, and she has deep, deep wounds, similar to some of the worst of us in here that were raised in certain ways, with a lot of pain and maybe no real foundation of love to fall on. So she's just got this gaping wound, and it's probably going to ruin her marriage, even though they've been married a long time. And it looks like the marriage could fail. He's got wounds he hasn't healed yet, and they sat with my wife and I for a few hours the other night, and because they came up to visit, and man, you could see exactly what's wrong and why, and how easy it is to fix if they find this section. And most of the people in here kind of know already, but when the newer people, it's always good to remember, if you wake up and you're having a bad day, you're not supposed to fix it. You're supposed to feel it. I remember I went to a 12-step group one time, and the topic was, how do you keep bad days from happening? And there's all these strategies on how to get out of those feelings. And this was a surreal moment. It must have been just a unique meeting just the right people came that day, but it got spooky to me when a 5 or 6 or the 7th person maybe said medication is what they decided to do to keep all those feelings at bay. And I just thought, these are people that have been coming around for 30 years. And I don't want that. I don't want that. I'm in no way judging any individual who may very well be best for them to be on medication. I don't really have an agenda there. I don't care about that. But I didn't share in that meeting, but what I thought was, I don't ever try not to have a bad day. Ever. If feelings come up, that's when you inventory. That's when you feel them. They come up to feel. That's what they're for. So you feel them, and you weep, and you mourn, and you let your joy be turned to sorrow. You let your laughter be turned to mourning and gloom. And we know there's a level of person that could come in that's also needs to be mitigated. We know. For sure. And then my friend, I was talking to her, and she said, look, I'll do anything you want, but I won't do the dark night. And I said, why? And she said, I know two people that have been through the dark night, and it was terrible, and I asked her to describe what the dark night was from those 2 people, and it wasn't what we do. In the popular world, it has lots of meanings. But what I told her is that the people I know that have great suffering already, as she does, when the night comes upon them, it brings relief and not more suffering. It brings relief. Because there's a whole kind of suffering that has to do with making sure you never feel you're suffering. And that is, for me, it was quite intense. My entire spiritual path was built around making sure I didn't suffer for 10 years. It's like playing hot potato permanently and forever. Everything you do is so you can not do it. I just think that's a very, very powerful section. And the other thing James said that I thought was profound, and I thought maybe I'll just mention it. He says, you do not have because you do not ask. And then he says, you ask and do not receive because you ask amiss, so you could spend it on your pleasures. And I thought, my immediate thought is, I don't know, I see dancing and wine or something. I don't know, that's pleasures. But it's something like this. It's like, it's just when you ask selfishly, for selfish reasons, for any good thing. And I realize I just failed to say it. I'm not going to be able to say it, but what I want to try to get across is there are these windows that open with prayer, and you get answers when those windows open. For me, I see it as a window because it's when I can finally ask for good reasons. And then this immediate power just pours through. And so much that I'm just astounded. But when I'm not asking amiss. And I could be asking for the same thing 10 times. But when I'm asking for the right reasons, it comes. There's something to be found there. There's a mystery there. I had a great example and it slipped. You could be asking for the most important thing, the thing God wants you to ask for. But if it's so you can get a man or a woman or a job, the answer is no. But if it's so you could be a child of God and a better servant on this planet, the answer is yes. or it doesn't. It does more often. Then I thought, just for fun, since there's no rush, but this is nothing, I don't know. He says all the war and fighting among us comes from, our own selfishness. And I just thought I'd remind everyone that all of our character defects come down to one of three instincts. And it's really helpful to notice when you're doing inventory which of the three instincts is involved, or all of them. And this comes from Christian tradition, Catholic tradition. And so you've got these instincts that are hardwired and you have no choice about them. And one of them for humanity is social instinct. You don't have a choice about wanting to fit in, because you can't make it on your own. You just can't. You can't. You get these survival experts that go out and see how long they can last out in the middle of nowhere, and it's like 100 days and they're done. They're experts. They're done in 100 days. We need each other. Can't do it by ourselves. So we have this social instinct that wants us to have some kind of place in the world and fit in, and we have a sexual instinct that wants to have that connection, and then we have a security instinct that wants to have enough money. It's not money in every time in history, but it's money now. And what Christianity says about that is that these are God-given instincts and they're good, but because they're hardwired into the system, they can get way out of order. Way out of order. And so almost all sin can be traced to one of them. All sin. All sin. So it's worth, when you do inventory, to notice which of those instincts this is coming from. And, I wrote all this stuff. I won't do it, but I like to go to places where there's people but not have to talk to them. So one place I like to go, this is funny, I went to the coffee shop one time. Jill was there. So Jill sees me pull in. I think there was a wave, I don't remember, at least an acknowledgement. I go sit down. Jill's friend leaves. Jill doesn't come say hi, she just leaves. Why? That's good enough. I love you very much. We don't need to hang out. I clearly felt the same way. She left. So, but I love to be around people. I don't necessarily want to talk to them, but I want to be around them. And you can see if you watch people instead of talk all the time, you start to see that people have all kinds of motives that bring them together. There's all kinds of motives that bring people together. And all of them cause war. All of them. Hatred, division, pain, and suffering. All of them. Unless it's God. Unless it's God. And it's like you'll see some get together and clearly their whole thing is fashion and that's what they're all about. And that's what they do. And God bless them, I couldn't care less. But then there's people that get together and you can tell it's intellect. It is absolutely education and intellect. You can see it. Then there's a group, this one coffee shop I go to has a lot of interesting people. It's money. I mean, they don't dress like they got money, but they have billions. And it's all they talk about. It's the only thing they talk about. And you see it. You see what's drawing people together, and you see why we're so divided and how we will never, ever stop killing each other, stealing from each other, and harming each other. Because he says right here, isn't it just because you have your desires and you war against one another? And you can see social groups, like you can see the cool ones. They're cool and they make everyone around them feel uncomfortable. They don't know it, but they're so cool. And, you get around them and they don't say anything rude, but you can sure as shit feel it, right? Like, you can just feel it from all these energies, from all of these groups. And it's all death and sin. All of it. It is. Maybe we don't want to go nuts and tell them that. Don't even want to think about any one person, right? And got to remember, what are you doing? You so great? No, I'm not. Thank you very much. I'll just keep to myself here. But it's God, it's only God that can bring us together and hold us together in some kind of unity. That's the only thing. There's supposed to be something that can unite all people, and it is only that. And any other motive is idolatry. That's what he says right in there. He starts calling us idolaters after talking about how our desires are why we war with one another. It's all idolatry, all of it. Go to a rock show. I'm all for rock shows, by the way. People are going freaking nuts for the show. They're just singing about sex, ego. It's disgusting, but we're going nuts for it. Can't get that turned on for God. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. But still a rock show. I'm going. not. Don't get too crazy. So when you're doing inventory, just notice I've got lust for what? For activity. Lust for what? I just want to fit in like those cool people. Lust for what? Right? Lust isn't just for sex. It's anything in the world we lust for. Those are our gods. Those are our gods. It's not to make us feel guilty. It's for awareness. So I can cease that. I don't know if you notice how poorly I dress. I just decided years ago to protest fashion. I just thought fucking protesting it. And I just wear, I buy like 15 of the same shirt and I wear them till they're dead. And then 15 of the same pants. I have so many of these. Wear them till they're dead. I refuse to plug in that way. And there's a lot of things, I think if you pay attention, you'll find you're still plugged into things. And you don't have to stop dressing nice, but you have to stop plugging into it all the way. All these things that drive us, right? And dress is nothing. It could be anything. Music lovers get together, that's their entire core. It's knowledge of music. Love of music is God-given, but an identity built out of that is death. I think James is hitting on all those things, and he hits wealth next, but we'll wait till next week. He speaks about wealth in the way that you expect the Christian tradition to speak about wealth. It's not a pretty talk. It's no joke. And I was just thinking one last thing about the sexual instinct, which is a very powerful one for some people. It's so strong. And, I would say it's a certain kind of clothing, except I know people who wear really tight clothing that don't exude a single ounce of sexual energy. So it's really hard you can't label it very well. But we know this. We know walking around leaking sexual energy is causing divorce. Think about that. It's contributing to unfaithfulness, which destroys families. Destroys children, destroys generations of people. To walk around with an intent to incite lust in the average population is grievously sinful. Grievously sinful. And not like you make a big deal out of it, right? I mean, we get it. It's not, I don't know, there's a way of plugging into that that's so weird, and then there's a way of plugging into it that's just true. You don't want to incite that in people. You don't want to stir it up in that married guy or that married woman. You don't want to attract their attention for your selfish ego to get a tiny endorphin hit. You don't want that because it causes suffering in the world and profound suffering. There's other levels of suffering I don't want to discuss, much darker, caused by it. I was going to do money, but it's big. It's big on chapter 5, so I thought I'd wait. Why does any of it matter? It's because you can't love both things. Jesus said it. You can't love both things. John of the Cross said it doesn't matter how thin the string is that keeps the bird from flying. The bird is not flying. Those instinctual drives that are hard wired into us that we have no choice about have to be brought into order because they are powerful enough to keep us from ascending towards union with God. And it's a miracle of healing to get you where you're not stuck in it. Only Jesus can get us there, but only if we recognize it and are willing for Jesus to get us there. I tell guys now, if I sit next to a beautiful woman, it's impossible for me to be sexually attracted to her. It's not possible. I would have to work really hard to get to a place where I could feel that. And God brought me there. But I had to be willing to give it up, to give up that candy.